Am I the a-hole for telling my dad to correct his and his wife's lie to his stepdaughter, or he can deal with the consequences? My dad remarried when I was 12 after the death of my mom. My dad's wife was a widow also and had a 7-year-old daughter at the time. I didn't blend the way they wanted me to. I don't hate my dad's wife or stepdaughter. I never felt a family bond with them though, but my stepsister can be really sweet. She's also special needs and behaves very young as a result. She struggles to comprehend things the way someone her age, 20, would. And her view of the world is very young. It makes her far easier to manipulate and far easier to upset. There were times when I still lived with them that I had to be so careful about the things I talked about because she would get so upset. Movies had to be very happy and cheerful and could not have death or bullying or any sarcasm in them because they could really upset her. Which is why I'm so angry right now. So I'm expecting a baby, and my stepsister was so excited the last time she saw me, and she told me she was so excited for me to have a boy named after her dad. I asked her what she meant, and she told me my dad and her mom told her that I was going to name a boy after her dad like I'd name a girl after my mom. She told me she hopes I have a boy, and she was so excited and so easily believed that I was going to do that. I mentioned this to my dad, and he sheepishly admitted they had told her that, and that they were going to ask me to consider naming a son after my stepsister's dad because it would mean so much to her. I told him I wasn't going to do that, and he should have known that. He told me they figured, but they also really wanted his stepdaughter to be happy. I spoke to him with his wife present and told him to correct the lie they told, or he can deal with the consequences of not doing so. She told me I would be heartless to deny her daughter this. My dad asked why I wouldn't do it, and I told him because I'm not the one who told the lie. I told him the choice was up to him and he can live with the consequences. They said I was blackmailing them and playing games, which wasn't fair. Am I the a-hole?
Why would you name a child after your dad's wife's ex-husband? Not the a-hole.
To make my stepsister happy is the only reason they could really argue with. Other than, it would be kind.
You understand that your dad and stepmom probably have mental issues too if they thought this was a reasonable request. Not the a-hole, and honestly just tell your stepsister that they lied to her from the start. Then the three of them can deal with that however they want, and you can live your own life.
Are they delusional thinking that you'd actually want to name your child for a man you never met? Or did they plan to manipulate you into it by telling your sister you would? You have some very strange parents. I hope your late mother had family you can hang on to because your nuclear family is not sane. Not the a-hole.
They were delusional and thought my stepsister wanting me to would make me do it for her, which is crazy because they know I'm not close with her. But they thought I would feel guilty enough to do it.
Stepsister is old enough to answer the question. Why would I name my child after your dead father? Your parents and stepsister have weaponized her moods, and everyone is supposed to follow suit. Your sister is old enough to handle a frank follow-up question to an insane request.
She doesn't have the awareness to answer a question like that. She doesn't function the same as other 20-year-olds.
Not the a-hole. Nobody is blackmailing anyone. Nobody is playing games either, unless it be your dad and his wife, by telling her daughter something they didn't know would come to pass. This wasn't your story they told her, it was theirs. Unfortunately, she believed them, and now it will probably make her unhappy to find out that your baby will not be named as she was told. No one has the right to name your child but you and the child's father. Your stepsister would have been excited for the new baby anyway. Why did they have to interfere and tell her something like that? It's just silly. It's too bad she lost her father, but he wasn't even known to you, so you would have no reason to name your baby after him. Your father and his wife need to own up to what they did and tell your stepsister the truth. Yes, she might be unhappy about that, but she'll get over it, and by the time the baby is born, this crisis will have passed. That's if your dad and wife do the right thing and tell her now. Congratulations on the new baby. Best wishes for you all.
Am I the a-hole for telling another parent they're wrong to blame my daughter and expect too much of me when their kid is in my home? My daughter Arya, 13 female, has been best friends with Lila, 13 female, since they went to the same preschool together. They're always spending time together and have a bigger group of friends but know each other the longest and are the closest with each other. Lila's family situation is a little difficult. And her mom went a little crazy on me last week, which led to a conflict. To sum up the current problem, Lila has a blended family. It's her mom, her stepdad, some step-siblings, and some half-siblings. Lila has expressed that she doesn't feel close to them. She always emphasizes that she has no real siblings and that even her half-siblings are just half-siblings and they're not her dad's kids too. I have heard her tell Arya how much it bugs her when people say her step and half-siblings are just siblings. But they don't talk about it too often. Lila's mother showed up at my house last week and blamed Arya for Lila's use of the step and half terms. She said she heard the girls talk about it and then say step and half-siblings aren't real siblings. She said she knows that must have come from Arya because she has been fighting Lila for years to stop saying step and half. I asked her how that even made sense. She told me Arya must be the source, and I told her Lila says that whether Arya is around or not, and she's wrong to blame Arya for how Lila feels. Lila's mother then told me I should be watching over the girls whenever they're in my home or my presence and correcting Lila whenever she uses step, half, or says they're not her real family. I told Lila's mother she couldn't seriously expect me to listen to them 24/7 so I can correct Lila, and it's too much for her to expect me to do when her kid is over to play with mine. She was not happy with me at all. She told me I can't say Arya isn't to blame and in the same breath refuse to correct Lila when she says something wrong. She told me I just want to let them away with saying stuff and I don't do enough for Lila, even though Lila spends more time at my house than she does her own. In the same breath, Lila's mother said her husband is so sick of Lila refusing to cooperate there and she needs to be here more so I can correct her. I told her she really is expecting too much. She told me I was a bitch and a shitty person. Am I the a-hole?
Not the a-hole. The girl is a teenager. She knows the terminology. Nobody needs to plant seeds in her head when it comes to how she views her family dynamics.
Agreed, and also, she admits it's been years. Why all of a sudden is it someone else's fault?
You said it yourself. Her hubby is getting annoyed. Her kid isn't falling in line. Poor kid. This isn't your problem to fix. You provide a safe environment where the girls get to enjoy each other's company. This does not include fighting her on how she views her family. If her mom can't do it, how can you?
Not the a-hole. Lila's mom is one of those remarried divorcees who want their child from her previous marriage to happily accept her new husband and family as if it is perfect. That's utter bullshit, but correcting language is much easier than actually listening and showing empathy for a position that makes you out to be an a-hole.
Not the a-hole. Though it sounds like you could have a friendly, positive little conspiracy with the girls. I mean, if you sit them down and explain to them that if Lila's mother thinks you and Arya are a bad influence, then she can stop Lila spending time at your house. However, if she thinks you are a good influence, Lila may be able to spend more time at your house and away from what sounds like a rough home situation for her. Maybe she could drop the step half around her family, but you won't correct her at yours. That way she gets a slightly more peaceful home life and also gets to escape it without getting grief for hanging out with bad influences who don't try to mandate her feelings.
That's an idea. I'm not sure how willing Lila will be to go for it, but it could possibly help. Though it sounds like her stepdad wants her out of the house as much as possible, so maybe her mom won't interfere too much.
Watch the shit fly when Lila calls you Mom.
Not the a-hole. It's no wonder Lila doesn't like being at home, constantly being told that her feelings towards her blended family are wrong. You're a safe place for Lila. That's something she'll remember.
Am I the a-hole for telling my friend we all hate her boyfriend? Hi all, first post so sorry in advance if it's hard to follow. I, 31 female, have a close friend, 28 female, who I'll call Tina. She's been dating her boyfriend, 33 male, who we'll call Matt, for 2 years. Matt is generally an a-hole, flaky, and inconsiderate, for example, not even getting Tina a present on her birthday because she had enough shit. Great guy, I know. Last week, Tina announced at dinner their engagement. I was horrified and talked to our other friends about it the next day. They all hated Matt, but loved Tina and didn't want to hurt her, so they told me not to say anything. I couldn't do it. A couple of days ago, Tina and I had a planned lunch. My ability to stay quiet grew thinner and thinner until she started talking about the wedding, and I couldn't take it anymore. This is where I might be the a-hole. I broke, telling her marrying Matt was a mistake. He didn't care about her and didn't deserve her. She blew up at me, telling me I barely knew him, that she was the love of his life and he of hers, and that I was a terrible friend. I tried to explain that I was only telling her to save her from this marriage and not to hurt her. She said that just because I was jealous, I shouldn't ruin her special day, and I got mad. I told her it wasn't just me, to find someone who actually likes him, that we all hate him, and stormed out. She called our friend group and told them what I said. I woke up yesterday morning to texts from all of them saying I shouldn't have involved them or said anything in the first place, and I was an a-hole. It's starting to get to me, so am I the a-hole?
You are the a-hole for speaking for the group when they told you not to. You can hate Matt, you overstepped when you involved the group. Now everybody gets to be mad at you instead of Matt, the real issue. You're a great friend for telling Tina that Matt is not liked and why. Tina wasn't ready to hear that. What did you expect? For her to thank you and break off the engagement? Situations like this have to be handled delicately, and you should always be prepared for the worst. Tina reacted badly to information she didn't want to hear, but then you doubled down and made it worse for everyone involved. Now Tina knows her whole friend group doesn't like her partner and that they lied, by omission, for quite some time about it. Your congrats weren't genuine, and that's going too smart, which means Tina may not rely upon her supportive friend group, but instead may turn to Matt, who you were hoping to get rid of.
Thanks. I've been feeling guilty about the way things went down. I think if I had actually prepared to speak to her, things could have gone better, and I never meant for it to escalate.
For example, not even getting Tina a present on her birthday because she had enough shit. Great guy, I know. That's between them and isn't your business. You are the a-hole, don't involve other folks in your plans. You don't get to speak for everyone.
I do regret bringing in my friend group, but it was Tina who had told us he didn't get her anything, and quoted what he said. They had called it out as shitty, and she said it was valid. She's brainwashed.
Unfortunately, Tina is gonna have to come to that conclusion herself. I know, you want to help and get her away before worse happens, but she's an adult. She has to make the stupid and shitty mistakes herself in order to learn. Wisdom comes with age, but never without consequences. You are the a-hole.
Not the a-hole as someone who has had to watch their best friend be treated like shit by their SO, but they refuse to leave because they have kids. I wish I had spoken up louder before that first kid. She tolerates her life, but doesn't want to break up her kid's home. It's hard to watch knowing your friend deserves better.
Am I the a-hole for making my parents replace my toys they decided to give away? I'm moving to another city for work. Since I'm an adult and not a college kid, I hired movers. My parents insisted on coming down to help me pack up. I live in their basement suite. It was cheap and they let me have my privacy. They brought my brother and my nephew. The four of them were as helpful as a bag of used horse condoms. Especially my nephew. My parents decided to keep him busy by giving him one of my Lego sets to play with. I collect them. What I usually do is buy two of the same one. I build one, put it up for display and leave the other one in the box to trade or sell. He took it upstairs to stay out of the way, then he took it home. All I noticed is that he was out from underfoot. The next day I saw the box on the garbage. I didn't assume. I knew the answer already, but I didn't assume. I went upstairs to talk to them. I asked where the Lego box came from. They said they gave it to Travis to keep him busy. I told them that they needed to replace it. They said I was being childish for caring so much about a toy. I said they could replace it or I would file an insurance claim, and that would probably require a police report. My dad got angry. He pulled out $70 and told me I was an a-hole for making a fuss over a toy. I asked him if that was a down payment. He said that is what he spent on the last Lego gift he got me for Christmas, and that is what those helmets cost. I showed him the box. I told him to keep his money. He just had to give me a sealed box like the one he stole. He said he didn't steal anything. He took the box and went to the Lego store nearby. When he came back, he was apologetic. He said he would get it back from my nephew. I said I wanted a sealed box with the TIE Fighter helmet. I even went on eBay to help him find one cheaper than he had found by himself at the collectibles store the guy at the Lego store sent him to. With shipping it would only be $300. He ordered it. He isn't happy about it. My mom is upset that I'm expecting that much money for a toy. My dad is upset that I didn't explain before he went and made a fool of himself at the store. I'm upset that they stole from me. Am I the a-hole?
Not the a-hole. Your parents are judgmental and inconsiderate. 1. They literally stole something of yours and gave it to your nephew without asking you first. 2. When you asked them about it, they belittled you for even having it in the first place. 3. They didn't even think they needed to replace the stolen item and probably wouldn't have even told you about it if you hadn't asked. Their opinion of whether Lego products are for kids is irrelevant, because the fact is that they are a collectible item that people pay a lot of money for. All of it could have been avoided if they had just asked you first, or, even better, if they had bothered to have things in their home to entertain their grandson in the first place instead of just taking your stuff. They probably hoped since you have so many boxes of Lego sets you would never notice it was missing.
Not the a-hole. They had no business giving away your property. They need to consider themselves lucky they didn't give away something with a really wild collector's value. That $300 is a cheap learning experience.
Not the a-hole. You handled this beautifully. You held your ground and created a situation in which your dad had to figure out for himself how badly he messed up. His irritation now is his embarrassment at having screwed up. It's okay to let him learn that lesson. I'm sure he'll never make this mistake again. Ignore his posturing.
Not the a-hole. I hope your dad learned his lessons. He saw a toy, but looks can be deceiving. He should also have learned that he is no longer the boss of you.
Not the a-hole. Your parents clearly crossed a boundary by not respecting your belongings. Regardless of their perception of what is or isn't valuable or age appropriate, it was yours and not theirs to give away. They need to understand that personal property doesn't lose its significance just because they don't see its worth. Plus, making them replace it might just teach them to respect other people's belongings in the future. Am I the a-hole for ordering my food as soon as the waitress comes to take my drink order in a cafe diner? This happened 2 days ago, and my wife's angry reaction still perplexes me. Although I can see her point of view, I still think that I'm well within my right to do what I did and am not an a-hole. Please let me know what you think. We arrived to eat in a local cafe for brunch before I had to go to work that afternoon. It wasn't an evening meal meant to sit back and enjoy the experience. It was more a place to get some food, hang with my wife, and catch up, and then go to work. Nothing fancy. The waitress came over to take our drinks order, but as this is a cafe we come to quite often, I knew exactly what I wanted to eat, so I said that I wanted to order food at the same time. The waitress hesitated a bit and said that they were supposed to only take a food order after the drinks had been delivered. I asked if I could order my food now, as I had work to get to and knew what I wanted already and didn't even need a menu. My wife also already knew what she would have to eat as we had discussed it before arriving, so I wasn't rushing her either. The waitress said it was okay, so we both ordered our food and drinks together, and the waitress left to put the order in. As she left, I said to my wife that I understand that cafes, restaurants want you to drink once while you wait, and that when your food comes, to order another drink, and this is why they do what they do. But I find it a bit annoying to be manipulated like that, so I always much prefer to order both at the same time and then not drink my drink until the food comes. I also get a shorter time from arrival to leaving as I've ordered as soon as I get there rather than be made to wait 10 minutes extra. I said this all pretty casually, as it was just a conversation in passing between the subject that we were talking about before the waitress came over. But my wife called me arrogant for doing this. She works as a waitress and said that what I just did meant I was jumping the queue and making others wait for their food longer. I said I wasn't jumping any queue, as if there were other people who hadn't even ordered their food yet. They were not even in the queue. It's not like I demanded my food to be made before everyone else. I just wanted mine to enter whatever queue there was as soon as possible and wait my turn in that queue and be in and out of the cafe as fast as possible and get to work. She was very angry that I didn't see it the same way she did, and I just think I'm ordering my food and waiting for it, but saving myself 10 minutes of unnecessary waiting time. AITH?
Not the a-hole. Despite it being the cafe's policy to make you wait longer to try to sell you more stuff, I don't see anything wrong with getting in and out fast, giving them your money and freeing up the table for someone else to then make their own orders.
They may also be trying to help time things for the kitchen, if there were a lot of fresh orders at that moment. But that would be on the staff to explain, so give a reasonable expectation for customers. Since the server didn't give any indication that was the case, it should be a complete non-issue. Wife may have just wanted it to feel like a bit more of a date than a rushed bite to eat, but that would also be on her to explain if she's voicing any displeasure.
Restaurants do this to give people time to decide what they want to order. It is not rude to order rather than wait if you already know what you want. Not the a-hole.
Everyone I've ever eaten out with has done this before. Like, if we need time to decide, sure, come back. But if we know, then we order. It's never, ever been a problem.
Former waitress here. I loved it when a customer knew what they wanted and didn't need to spend 5 to 10 minutes to look at the menu. Not the a-hole at all.
Not the a-hole. That's not a rule, and that waitress does not know what she's doing.
Not the a-hole. Even if the restaurant is slammed and they are trying to stall or gap orders, it's their job to communicate that. I have tried to order immediately when I'm hungry and had staff say, "Unfortunately, I'm a bit slammed and will have to come back in a few minutes." You would be the a-hole if you made a scene or insisted and were rude. But if you simply wanted to order and she was okay taking it, that's fine. It's a restaurant's job to communicate with you. If they're behind, they should tell you and give you the option to leave. Almost every bad situation can be avoided with communication from the get-go. Welcome. Here's the menus. Just wanted you to know we're out of the scallops today, unfortunately. Or, unfortunately, the sous chef called in sick, so we are backed up. The food will take a while. Is that okay? Their job.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos.